I had to come on here and talk about this. I just had to come on here and talk about what has happened today, because I feel like what has happened today with the XWM turret tower in TDX, this is like the last straw. I feel like this is the final straw that is breaking the camel's back on this tower. We need to have like a serious talk about the XWM in this game and in its future, because this tower, the balances around it, just the whole tower is just a mess. And it seems like no one can agree on how strong or weak this thing is supposed to be. No one in the development team can agree on whether or not this tower is supposed to be good or bad, or what it's supposed to be doing. We just need to talk about this. XWM is, for some reason, the tower that has received the most buffs and nerfs in this entire game's lifespan. Ever since it has come out, it has been hit with buffs and nerfs left and right, specifically on the top path, just because of what the top path is. Like, I'm pretty sure it's received like 12 or 13 changes within the span of a year. I don't think, it's not even been a year since Endless came out, I think. And it's like received so many changes. Some of them have been good, some of them have been bad. It just seems like John just changes XWM to be better or worse depending on where the meta is at the moment. I don't know, me personally, I find it extremely annoying, because with a lot of other towers, there's a sense of stability to them, but with XWM, you'll just never be able to know. 1 minute it's dealing 700 DPS, the next minute it's dealing 1,300, and the next minute it's down to 1,100. It is so strange how this tower keeps changing. I think it's a serious problem, because I feel like we should just have some sort of stability with it, and I feel like these changes are just not healthy. Especially the most recent one, which is, we'll get to that. Today, as of recording this video, John has, or not, Traz and the TDX team have released this like picture showing the XWM, what its next balance change is going to be, and it is now going to have dynamic price. Now, if you're a fan of Tower Blitz, you know what this is. It's essentially every successive tower that you buy and purchase the max upgrade of, it costs more and more and more money. It's essentially a balancing measure to ensure that you get OP towers, but you don't like get a bunch of them. Like, there's a lot of investment into them. Now, for the Tower Blitz towers, this works fine. This works perfectly fine, because Tower Blitz towers, they're tier 5s. You work hard for them, and they are busted. They are not balanced in the same way that other towers in the game are balanced. They are on a completely different level. For this just doesn't make sense at all. XWM does not have the greatest stats. It certainly has amazing stats, but when compared to other things such as Zed or Juggernaut with buffs, or Golden Juggernaut, or even the helicopter, it's not like it has the highest DPS in the game or anything like that. It is certainly one of the highest DPS, but in a top 5 list, it's coming up as like number 5 or 6. XWM, its greatest strength is just its consistency, and how it's able to live for a long time and essentially be a jack of all trades. And I believe that is what XWM's biggest problem is. TDX is a game that by and large has specialized towers. There are towers that are good for like 2 or 3 situations, but they're not good for every situation. And almost every tower is like this. Even simple towers like Juggernaut, he's best against people who don't have the bullet resistance, but against bullet resistant foes, he is quite weak, even with his top path. Golden Juggernaut, he specializes in energy types, but with someone who has energy resistance, he's gonna struggle. And that goes for pretty much every single damage type. Those who ignore resistances typically don't do that much damage, or if they do, there's like a long cooldown in between it doing so. The issue with XWM turret, it's essentially the same DPS as Juggernaut, except it ignores its own resistance. So basically, it's just able to do everything. It's a fast-firing, high-range, high-damage, single-target, multi-target, crowd control. It does everything. This tower is a jack-of-all-trades tower in a game that mostly has specialized towers. Now, I guess one could argue that XWM is meant for the higher game modes because, well, in old Expert, you couldn't really get XWM. It wouldn't really be effective. you would get it mainly for endless. But now expert mode has a lot of enemies that can damage your stuff and all this other things, and you get more money as a consequence of that. So you're more easily able to get XWM and use it in this mode. But it's a jack of all trades tower. It's able to do every single damage type because it ignores its own resistance so early and does so much damage while doing so. So it's essentially just a jack of all trades tower. It just is able to do everything. And TDX is not really a game that has towers that do everything. That's why there's so many resistances, and that's why I personally find the game so enjoyable. But this is just not the way to do it. It's just not good. Giving this tower like some sort of limit just makes it absolutely terrible for expert and literally does nothing to its performance in endless, which maybe that's the point. Maybe they're trying to recapture that spirit of XWM is a tower meant for the endless mode. I don't know, that just doesn't seem right to me. I definitely feel like there's other ways to go about balancing this tower, and it is not reducing its stats. It's essentially, we just need to nuke top path. We just need to do something with top path and change it. Whether it's taking away its flying detection, taking away, I don't know, just something needs to be done about it. Now, if we're just going to ignore like stats, like if this thing were to get a full mechanical rework, I personally think that it should be a purely single target tower. This should be someone that you get to kill singular targets and not a jack of all trades. Now, how would you do that? Well, I think that XWM should have a feature where essentially it revs up and it has to increase in its fire rate. The longer that it's targeting an enemy, the faster its barrels spin, the more damage it's doing, the more DPS it's doing. It kills the enemy. It does this until it kills the enemy. Then the enemy is dead. And then the XWM has to cool off. It has to stop heating. And once it's done heating, it will go to the next enemy. Charge up, slowly shoot faster, kills the enemy, goes into cooldown. I think that's great because that's actually something different from the two Juggernaut towers. Because another thing with XWM, it's basically just the Juggernaut towers, but it ignores its own resistance. It's a jack of all trades tower. And that's not really good in a game that has specialized unit. And then there's just bottom path, which is just neglected. I just think they just need to make that more cost efficient. It should not be more expensive than top path, in my opinion. It's just not that special. I genuinely think that the way that this tower stands right now, John just cannot balance it. And I feel like no one else can really balance it either. Like, the things that people suggest about how to balance this tower are interesting to say the least. It just needs a behavior change for top path. It needs to be something more unique than just, it's another minigun tower, there it goes. So that's really all I have to say about it. If you agree, be sure to like, subscribe, and stuff like that. Hopefully, XWM will see some sort of change in the future to just change how it works completely, because as it stands right now, it's a jack of all trades tower that John just seems to hate with just a burning passion. Just seems to hate it, honestly. And yeah, see you guys all next time. Bye.